Hello, it is September 2nd, 2020. It's hard to believe it's been only a week since my last video. It feels like a month of activity and different challenges and battles and introspection and fear being stirred up in the United States right now. My name is Eliza de Vries. I am what you would call an evolutionary astrologer, which means when I look at a chart, whether it's of the United States or it's your chart, I'm looking at it from a standpoint of where is it challenged at a soul level, because there is a collective soul of the country, just as you have your soul. And if I were looking at your chart, my main focus and my main message would be, my main aspiration would be to try to help you develop in the highest and best way to live up to what your soul intentions were when you were born into this form in this time. So all of us here that are in the United States or observing the United States, what I wanted to do today, because there's one way that I truly agree with Joe Biden, and that is there is a battle right now going on for the soul of the nation. Now, in order to know what the soul of the nation is, how evolved the soul of the nation is, how advanced it's going to become, what are its collective aspirations at this time on the earth, I printed out the chart of the actual election day, and I looked at what the challenges would be to the chart of the United States. So today I'm not giving a prediction of the election. I'm saying what we're being called upon to, what are going to be the collective responses and challenges and internal turmoils and inspirations that will drive us to the polls or make us stay home. What will the force be? What will the energies in the heavens be imprinting on the over 300 million Americans that day? What is going to, how are they going to feel that day? Because no matter how much we read the polls, how much we look at our own belief systems, when we get in that polling booth or we sit to sign our ballot, there is still oh, is that really what I feel? Am I going to do that? And something different could take over in that moment. So I looked at the chart of the United States, and as we all know, July 4th, 1776, with a Sagittarius ascendant. So it's an aspirational country. It's a country that came in with a soul that basically came to the country hoping to do better, seeking religious freedom with that Sagittarius ascendant. Freedom from restrictions. And so a lot of people came here perhaps from very restricted lives, monetarily, socially, spiritually. They could have been, forced to a certain religion. They wanted to escape from that, or persecution of a certain religion. So people that came here, they had an aspiration for freedom. And then would come here, and there would be the opposing forces that did not always provide the freedom that the country offered. So it's why you would see, or when the first travelers came here and initially took the land away from the native inhabitants, how there was a sense of a disconnect from the spiritual goal. It's almost like somebody drowning in the river and saying, God, God, save me. and I promise you I'll change my entire life, I'll do the right thing, I will become a better person, and then they're saved, and then they slowly sink back into their old ways. Or the country that they're coming to is not living up to its initial promise. The hand was extended, the hand of mercy, the hand of opportunity, the land of freedom, the hand of freedom, and then everything was challenged. So I looked at our chart on the election day. I thought, what is affecting the country on the election day? The first thing I saw is that the major aspects in the chart are to Mercury. Now, Mercury is voting. Mercury is expressing our opinion. Mercury is getting out there and saying what we really feel. But if you look at the chart of the United States, with a Mercury in Cancer in a water sign at 24 degrees, this is the chart of the inception of the United States, the day the Declaration of Independence was signed. So that Mercury is at 24 degrees. And that day, November 3rd, we have within an orb of 2 or 3 degrees, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn all opposing the Mercury. And the initial Mercury of the United States in Cancer is already not a forthcoming expression of the truth. There's a lot of manipulating going on there, or a lot of using the capability with words to gain compensation. Being in the house of Scorpio, it's a very behind the scenes Mercury. So it's, if you think of Scorpio, Scorpio's got a lot of hidden, the lower aspects of Scorpio have got a lot of hidden agendas, a lot of well, it's birth, death, it's other people's money. So that Mercury sitting in that house, opposing Pluto, opposing, in the natal chart, it's opposing Pluto in Capricorn. And then it's got Pluto and Jupiter and Saturn all close to that natal Pluto, opposing Mercury. So what does that say? Well, what that says is it's going to be a heavy turnout. Jupiter in there is going to be a lot of exaggerated communication. So whatever the outcome, there's going to be a push to for a lot of people to show up on both sides, probably. But the other thing is, with the Mercury opposing Saturn, there's going to be a lot of efforts at voter suppression, because Saturn is restriction, Saturn is constriction, Saturn is setting things up a certain way, but when it's opposing Mercury, it's like setting up obstacles to communication. So we're going to have to really watch, we're going to be challenged, number one, to get out to the polls and make sure our vote counts, whatever side you're on. And number two, there's going to be attempts at voter suppression, which are already in play, because this Mercury right now is opposing Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn as we speak. And it's not going to be that different on election day. So we've got that. For example, if I look at the first debate, we've got the United States Mercury again opposing Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter. So there's going to be a lot of, that's going to come up in the debate about freedom. So what I'm feeling looking at this is, with all these oppositions going on, and the final opposition that's going on, which I think is huge, is this is a very karmic election. This is hugely karmic, because we've got Saturn conjuncting Pluto uh, America's Pluto. So America's desire for a huge transformation. We've got Saturn there. So the basic soul message of that conjunction is, if we do not listen to our higher self, the highest and best within us, if we don't really show up and express what we feel our soul is calling us to do, there's going to be a karmic retribution. It's going to be strong either way. So that day, Saturn is conjunct the Pluto of the United States, Saturn in the heavens. So it's going to sit right hard on that Pluto, and it's going to squeeze. And so that day, we're going to feel an inner compulsion to do the right thing. I feel it's going to drive us very strongly to show up and really listen. And we're going to think that Saturn is also the Constitution, the structures that the country was set up under. So with Mercury opposing that Pluto and Saturn on top of it, we're going to be thinking a lot about our Constitution, and we're going to be thinking Pluto ruling the deeper aspects of the soul and the psyche. We're going to be thinking a lot about the soul of the nation. And what do we want for this country? How much do we want it? How much are we willing to fight for it? So this election, whatever way it goes, is going to be incredibly transformative and powerfully karmic. And the other thing that I noticed is that Neptune in the heavens will be at 22 degrees, and it will oppose the Neptune of the United States. Now, Neptune is the higher spiritual aspect of love. It is our capacity to love beyond ourselves. So you've got Venus, the lower octave of love, where it's more on an individual nature that we love each other. Neptune is the higher octave of love. So we're going to be feeling at an esoteric, at a spiritual level, how much do we love our country? That's going to be the real question. How much do we love and care about our country? Now with the Neptune opposite Neptune, we have to watch out for deception, cheating. But to me, that Neptune opposite Neptune, which is a very rare opposition, that only happens every 70 years that Neptune is opposite Neptune. So if you think back to around 1930 when we were going through the Great Depression, that Neptune was opposite Neptune. So we were facing the dissolution of everything that we knew as it was. So that was a powerful, powerful time for us too. So this dissolution of life as we know it to be will be brought up in our minds and our hearts. The other thing I feel looking at that Neptune influence being triggered, it's triggered in the house of spirituality. So hey sweetheart, don't do that, okay love? Don't do that, you go lie down. The Neptune is natally for the United States in a beautiful position. It's in the house of the higher mind, of spirit, of reaching for getting beyond the definition of organized religion to an understanding of the mystical expression of spirit in our country. Not judging people by the color, the race, the religion, where they came from. It's all more reaching for the mystical union. So I like that, and I feel there's going to be a lot of spiritual energy around the earth at that time. A lot of when I go into meditation at this time, I feel a lot of masters and beings trying to really reach us right now. It's kind of like they're asking us to listen to our inner being and to not get off the beam and all distracted by the deceptive actions of politicians, but more to go to the mystical aspect of what we really want for our soul, for our family, for our friends, for our country. What do we want spiritually? That's going to be a big question that comes up. So the other thing is that Neptune will be at 22 degrees. Neptune will be at 18 degrees. So it will be trining the Sun and Mercury on the United States chart. So it will be bringing a spiritual element to the election. It will, some people will feel foggy, some people will feel lost, some people feel confused, but the ones that really are listening and going inward, they're going to get strong spiritual direction on that day to make a sacrifice, to do the right thing. The other thing is that we are going to have the United States we're going to be at 11 degrees of Scorpio on the day of the election, with Scorpio rising in Washington, D.C. at the time the polls open. So this is a time of immense transformation, immense. And that's going to be trining the United States sun. It's also going to be assisting Joe Biden, being a Scorpio with 4 planets in Scorpio. It's going to give him a boost. The thing that will be interesting, because this is such a Mercury-ruled day of the election, is that Mercury is at the very end of being retrograde, and it will be stationary that day. It's not moving that day. It's not going forward, it's not going backward. It's just sitting there in the 12th house. So when I see that, I feel there's going to be a lot of shenanigans, cheating, a tendency to cheat. But because the Mercury is in Libra, there's also going to be a strong inner calling for justice. Justice is going to be very strong. As the Libra is going to be at 25 degrees, and it's going to be trining the moon of the United States. The moon of the United States is 27 degrees Aquarius. Now, I know some of this astrology might sound mind-boggling to you, but at a soul level, that Mercury in the heavens trining the moon represents the public in the United States. So the moon in Aquarius for the United States is defined by a very diverse population that thrives on diversity. And with the Mercury trining the moon and sitting there, when a Mercury is stationary, it's got 10 times the impact that it normally would have. It's like just there. And because Mercury is so strong on that day, voting is going to be not just uppermost in our mind, but justice through voting. And Mercury trining the moon, justice for the population. So both sides are going to feel, they're going to be thinking about the law and order, but they're also going to be thinking about their lives and fairness in their lives, and what is fair, what is going to happen that's fair in the United States. Is it going to be fair? The other thing that I noticed is that Mars will be, Mars will be in Scorpio, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining the Sun, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining the Sun, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining the Sun, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining the Sun, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining the Sun, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining the Sun, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining the Sun, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining the Sun, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining the Sun, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining the Sun, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining the Sun, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining the Sun, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining the Sun, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining the Sun, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining the Sun, and Mars will be trining the Sun. Mars will be trining 15 degrees Aries retrograde. So Mars is going to be squaring the sun of the United States. So there could be a lot of outbursts of anger, a lot of impulsivity, a lot of repressed resentment. And no matter what the outcome of this election, it would look at, when I see that Mars affecting the population, I would say that, affecting the United States, squaring the sun of the United States. And I would say that no matter what the outcome, there's going to be some kind of battling or uprising or fighting over this. And a lot of name calling and I wouldn't be surprised if Trump loses, that there's a lot of, he's battling like crazy to make it seem like it was rigged, like he's already preparing the road for that. Or if the Democrats lose, one would strongly advise that they not yield up until all the votes have been counted. Not wimp out and just, because there's so much behind the scenes here that the country is going to be called upon to really seek out the truth of what's really going on, what's happening. Truth is going to be high on the agenda for that day. Now, I did pull a Mother Mary card because I wanted to know the energy of that day, and I wanted to know her message. And the card I got was the card Our Lady of Nourishment. So I looked up the meaning of that card, and it says, in the physical world, survival can be painful. And that is something people are going to be thinking about that day, is survival. How am I going to survive? Am I going to survive? Is this country going to come back? Am I going to have a job back? Because it's still going to be in a precarious teeter-totter spot. Nothing is going to be fully solved at that time with the Neptune, opposite Neptune. The fear of dissolution of everything you have, losing everything you have, is going to be strong in the air. It can be very real physical suffering that people are going through. Hunger, going without food. But at another level, we have been put through this grill at the evolutionary astrology level of looking at the chart, because we are in a state of spiritual poverty in the country. We are getting selfish and too much polarity and fighting and anger and just raging lies and nonsense. And so we were in a state of spiritual poverty, and we needed a whack up the side of the head. So the human soul is most precious. So she talks about the human soul, that this is what we're going to be looking at, is the human soul. It's what allows for the wild animal and the sublime spirit to unite, for flesh to become sacred. So we need to live a more sacred life. Not make our choice out of hating someone else, but make our choice out of a positive vision for our own life, the life of our family, friends, and the future of the country. Get over ourselves and our beliefs and go to our soul. So, to put it mildly, the human soul is worth fighting for. And that's what Joe Biden said, that we are in the fight for the soul of the nation. And she's confirming that this election will be a battle for the soul of the nation. There's a part of us that feels, that has compassion and connection to all beings. So without the human soul, the whole divine experiment of our democracy has no meaning. If we've lost the soul of the nation, democracy will fall. It's as simple as that. So we have a lot of power available to us collectively, and we need to join hands, and we need to think what our soul is calling us to do right now. I'm going to end there. I'm going to draw a soul card, and then I'm going to end there. If you like the video, please subscribe. And if you'd like a reading, I do lots of readings at a mediumship level. If you've lost somebody recently you'd like to reconnect with, at a evolutionary astrology level, and just at a straight psychic level of what I'm picking up on. So asking for this, for a soul card right now for this election day. This is the card of a great shedding of sadness and fear. This is the fear zone of our body, and she is sad. She is shedding. She's been through a lot as a mother, as a woman, as a man. She's felt vulnerable. She's been in tears. She's felt frightened. And she's going very, very inward, and she's gathering herself. So that day, there's going to be a lot of soul searching. A lot with that Mercury opposite Pluto, with the Mercury opposite Jupiter, which is very spiritual. And that will be the energy of that day, is really examining what we've been through over the last few months. What have we been through? What have we overcome? What have we learned? What do we want for our country? What would we like for our family? How can we contribute? So this is really a very, very scorpionic election. This is an election of, this card is a card this day, look how both of these cards, if you look at them on the day of the election, they're both shedding from the chakra of desire, nature, wanting, materialism. They're both shedding, and they're both capable of a profound resurrection. So it's really the solar plexus of fear and the sexual chakra of creativity and of desire and wanting and materialism. And the heart. She's shedding from her heart. This is a powerful election. Please vote. However you vote is your choice according to your soul's calling. But don't not vote and then complain after. Okay. I love you all. I worry I don't worry, but I send love and so many prayers to all of you. And my heart is so here for you. If you need to connect with me, I'm here. And let's get on with it. Let's live out our soul's yearning and longing and expression. Thank you. God bless you.